quite frankly, we're here because we think this is not only a human rights issue, but this is a civil rights issue as well.
As Maryland faces thousands of potential child sex abuse lawsuits against state agencies, the lawmaker behind the Child Victims Act wants to make some amendments to his plan. Spotlight on Maryland's Gary Collins is following those developments today from Annapolis.
Delegate C.T. Wilson testified before the House committee about 3 sweeping changes he wants to make to an act that he authored just 2 years ago, which has resulted in over 4,500 alleged victims coming forward. These claims could cost Maryland taxpayers billions of dollars in funds that the state is yet to set aside.
This is going to affect people, period.
Emotions were high in the House Judiciary Committee.
We sat through a budget, and I heard you on the floor. So if you want to go through that again on a larger scale with $17 billion, God bless you.
As Delegate Wilson, a victim of child sex abuse himself, was back before fellow lawmakers seeking to amend the Child Victims Act, which eliminated the statute of limitations for alleged victims to file lawsuits for sex abuse that happened during childhood and recover up to $890,000 per incident.
I told you what I want to do. I don't have to explain any more than this. And I'm sorry to be this way. I'm not going to sit here and go back with you.
The amendments seek to cap child sex abuse claims against the state of Maryland by half, limit the ability of one financial reward per claimant instead of incident, and require the state to mandate an alternative dispute process.
But what I do want to do is what I always do in this committee, and what we don't frequently do, is talk about the victim. And
holy, you know what?
These people have lived through some.
Who are you talking to? No. Do you really think for a minute that I don't know? Do you think I don't know what the victims go through? And do you think there's any amount of money that's going to make it better? Because you can lie to yourself, but it's not.
Hours before the hearings, Spotlight on Maryland caught up with Delegate Wilson with several questions also about his proposed changes. What do you say, though, to those people who say that $800,000 isn't enough?
Oh, how about this? What have I always said when I was up here fighting this damn thing by myself? And they didn't have a voice, and I was the only voice up here, and I was putting my family and put my family through all this. And I said it was never about the money.
If you had a sex claim in the Catholic Church, your claim's worth more than if you had a sex claim in the state of Maryland. Do you think that that's fair?
Without a doubt, because our taxpayers have been paying for this every day. When a little kid gets molested, there's a damn good chance he may end up interfering with somebody else in the same way. And guess what? Now they go through our system in DJS. Now they go through our system in adult court. Now they get a public defender. Now they go to jail. And guess who pays for that? We do.
Minutes later,
may I ask you a question? Please.
Sure.
An alleged child sex abuse survivor confronted the lawmaker about proposed changes that could reduce financial recoveries for sexual misconduct against the state by $1 million per incident compared to if the same incident occurred at a non-governmental organization.
Which one is more important, fairly compensating victims or your seat? Because I know your seat is under threat. And I know it is, whether it's...
Everybody's seat's under threat, brother. I don't
okay, everybody's seat is under threat.
And if I don't get reelected, God's going to have me right where I'm supposed to be.
And from a victim standpoint...
We spoke with Antoine Harris moments after the heated exchange, where he shared his alleged story that is too graphic for television.
You want to be normal. You know, you don't want to let anybody know what happened to you, and you want to be a regular person. You know, you want to forget it. You want to not remember it, but you can't.
Right now,
one of Harris's lawyers, civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump, said the state's attempt to change the law are unacceptable, and they need to make survivors whole.
If this bill passes as it is, they will be re-victimized again. And so what we're saying is don't re-victimize them again. Don't break promises to them again. Maryland, do right by these victims. We can find a viable solution to make sure there is a win-win for the state, but also for these victims. I mean, haven't they suffered enough?
Spotlight on Maryland asked Governor Wes Moore and the Maryland General Assembly leaders last week how the state intends to pay for the mounting child sex abuse allegations against state agencies. Senate President Bill Ferguson said that no funds have been allocated in the budget and negotiations were complex. I'm Gary Collins in the studio with Spotlight on Maryland.